Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Crazy Cool Family Podcast people, do you want to be
The most amazing family you could be.
the most amazing parents you can be?
The most crazy cool family - parents you can be.
We have this amazing resource we call Basecamp. What is Basecamp? Basecamp is more than a podcast. It's more than a YouTube video. It's more than a Facebook post. It's
More than a website.
Yes.
It's more.
It's a membership site.
It's actually an invitation for you as parents to come in and learn from our 30 plus years of experience when it comes to parenting. It's filled with all sorts of videos about all the things that you need to or you could learn about how to be a crazy cool family.
So all you have to do, it's so easy to sign up. It's free. And
That's
we
a
give
really
you-
good price.
And you have access, You have access to all of our content every day, 24/7, on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. All you got to do is go to basecamp.crazycoolfamily.com. That is basecamp.crazycoolfamily.com.
Don't forget the dots,
Yes.
dot.
And it takes 2 minutes to sign up, and you'll start getting our weekly emails, our weekly Basecamp newsletter emails, as well as have access to all of our courses. You can do it in your small groups. You can do it individually. You can do it with your spouse. Basecamp is the way to learn to be a crazy cool parent.
So come on in, come be a member for free.
Yep, we can't wait to connect with you. Hello and welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast. Just Don today, no Suzanne, because I have a very special guest with me. You know him as Tim Hawkins. And if you've been on YouTube or you have seen a show, Tim has, I was just looking, man, some of your songs, Tim, have, well, welcome first, Tim. Welcome to the podcast.
I accept your welcome, Don.
There you go. And, some of those, I was looking on YouTube, some of those songs have 14 million views.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more than St. Louis, okay?
Yeah, it is. I think half of those are from one homeschool family in Idaho. I try not to get the big head about that.
They've watched them over and over.
They have it on repeat, on all their TVs in their house.
Well, Tim is I'm not kidding when I say this. I've known Tim for a long time, so I'm a little biased, but the funniest comedian I've ever heard. I absolutely mean that. Funniest comedian I've ever heard. If you want to go and have some family fun, and we're going to talk about having family fun today, but go to YouTube and just search Tim Hawkins and look at all the different clips. And he's actually going on tour again this year, right?
I think so. I think I still know how to do it. It's been a while. So, well, I guess I have no other skills. So this is it. This is my path.
It's either that or McDonald's, right?
And that's basically true. I tell people I do comedy out of desperation. It's not out of inspiration. It was pure desperation because I really have no other skills.
Okay, so I don't know if you'll remember this, but you remember telling me the story before you got started about driving the car in the hot summer. Do you remember this? And the windshield wipers just going crazy. Do you refresh me on that?
Oh,
story?
Yeah.
So this is before you got started in comedy, and you was kind of like your
just real life stuff. Story. I mean, my definition of success is having a car that starts when you turn the key, and it's pretty much going to start. I mean, back in the day, you just turn the key and prayed and hoped that it would start. But yeah, one of our cars, it was a brown Bonneville, and and the windshield wipers wouldn't turn off. They would just go constantly. There was no rubber wiper, so it was just that metal, and it actually etched an arc into my windshield, and it made
This was before the 14 million views, wasn't it?
That was before. This is before 14 views, and this is before we knew what YouTube even was.
That's
So,
right.
so here I am in the dead, in Dallas in the, the 100-degree heat, not a cloud in the sky. This guy's windshield wipers are going off at a tear. So,
And you're driving down the road. I remember you saying you were driving down the road and everybody's just looking at you because it's 100 degrees in August, no rain in sight for
no
days.
rain,
And your
no
windshield
rain.
wipers are going back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this is why the chicks don't dig me, because I'm driving this car. But yeah, and I still have a gratefulness from all of that. I'm well aware of, where I've been, and just like I said, being thankful for a car that works, and all that stuff. Yeah.
And now, fast forwarding, healthy children, have 4 beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
Our,
They're not children anymore, but yeah, they're awesome, and it's great to see them develop and become their own people, and that I still am just as entertained by them as I always was. But now I have a little more energy. It's like we looked at some old every time you look at a picture of when they were a kid, it's just me laying down. Usually they're on top of me. I'm just white as a sheet. I'm 30 pounds overweight, just a lot, really tired. But yeah, once they get older, it's like you have more time to kind of, okay, I can go work out again. I can, eat better again. I'm not just eating the rest of their McDonald's fries or whatever.
That's awesome.
It's an interesting time. We're having a lot of fun in our 50s.
Yeah. And starting to have some grandkids.
All they said, you go from being Dr. No to being Dr. Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying no anymore. It's like with your grandkid. Yeah. Can I have a cookie? Yeah. You want to cook? You want the whole bag? You want a cup of coffee? Your parents aren't going to be here for a half hour. Yeah. Let's go get you a latte or something.
Well, and it segues well into what we're talking about, because, we have a lot of young parents listen to this, and they are the ones that the kids are laying on right now, and they're exhausted and they're not working out and all those things. But we want to bring, we're talking about fighting for family. And I really, when I thought about, just bringing Tim on, I'm like, how do we bring Tim? One of the things I've learned from you over the years is you're a student of humor, that it's not just something that you just walk up on stage and say, I'm going to be funny tonight. I'm just going to improv, although you're good at that too. But I mean, there really is a way for humor. And I'm just curious, like, as you have been doing humor for so many years, how do you bring humor into a family? If you were going to take a mom or a dad or a set of parents and say, okay, I'm going to be your humor coach for your family, I mean, what would you suggest to them to bring laughter and humor into their home?
I'd say the number one way that you want to bring humor into your home is to be relatable. And to be relatable, you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. It's not about trying to be witty. It's not about trying to be somebody else. It's about being your authentic self. I get more laughs when I'm telling the truth on stage, because people relate more with it. The laughs are bigger because it's all about connection. It's not about a magic trick. It's not about you putting on some kind of, being goofy, which that's part of it. I mean,
right.
It's just when people feel like you're at least trying to be yourself, you're at least trying to tell the truth. You're making the effort to really express how you feel. Then that's where trust opens up, and then that's where humor comes from. It's pure relatability. I went for years being a comedian trying to come up with funny things instead of just saying things funny, or saying just normal things that I felt passionate about. So I wouldn't think about how can I do a little joke, set up punch. I would live my life like with the radar up, and just looking for things I'm passionate about. Right. So if I'm driving around and something really irritates me, okay, there's probably something there.
Right. Right.
Where you find something irritating or something you love. I mean, Chick-fil-A came out of, I did a song, a Chick-fil-A song, and it really basically stems from that experience of when you drive to a Chick-fil-A, you're ready for it, but you forget it's Sunday and you drive in the parking lot and you have this panic attack. And I know, and so I wrote that song. That was the punchline of the song. And that's what made it so relatable, because everybody who knows Chick-fil-A,
Right.
they have had that experience. So I would just say that. I would say it's not about you have to get a joke book and bring it into the house and sit all the kids down and
Right.
say, it's about your experience with life and opening that up to your family. You walking in the door, you're like, man, this neighbor guy with his truck, he's parking it. Is he ever going to move that thing?
Right.
I can't stand that. That passion, that energy usually leads to, hey, well, this is what I can't stand. You're kind of creating an environment where your kids, your wife, they all feel like they can express themselves. They can share their vulnerabilities and their actual opinions.
Well, and then, I mean, I think that's awesome, because then, like, even a 3-year-old can tell a funny story,
Yeah.
and you can, they may not get it all right, but you can laugh with them. And so
Yeah.
how do you, I think a lot of families get into what I would call negative humor, where they're making fun of the
Yes.
different people in the family and stuff. How do you make humor be not against somebody?
Yeah, that's the thing that I had kind of let in, and I felt like I created that in our house for a while. That wasn't good. It was that kind of jeering, aggressive, punching down kind of humor, and it's.
And so when that was happening, what were you seeing in your kids? What made you want to change?
Well, it was seeing a critical eye, jumping to the critical, jumping to the negative, jumping to, punching down, they call it, which, yeah. And Heather really brought that to my attention. I mean, it was her that just kind of said, I don't like this. I don't like when we joke this. And me, I'm like, I'm just like, it's no big deal, but it really does. It does affect the house. And I think what needs to be done, that comes from me, that comes from her, just kind of steering conversations like, hey, if they're going after that, just not feeding into it, not relishing in that, not giving that fuel.
Right.
Just kind of, there are ways that you can shut that down.
So how did you flip it?
Flipped it by myself, not doing it, for one thing. Just not responding to it, anything like that. Like when I think there are times, doesn't mean you can't rib one another.
Right.
But that's one of the other things. It's like, I think my goal was to teach my kids context. There's a time to turn it on, and there's a time to turn it off. There's a time where the spotlight's on you, and there's a time where you need to be listening and let this person shine.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of that's kind of what improv is. When you're a comedian by yourself, it's up to you to come up with the comedy or the content. When you're with a group, you're the one setting them up. You're like, you're playing, they call it the straight man. You're like, just setting the stage for them to, okay, now the light's on them. It's time for them to express.
And that's a really cool thought. As you were talking about that, I'm thinking about Spencer, the bit where Spencer comes in and he's talking about how ripped he is.
Yeah.
And you basically say, hey, Dad, what's your body fat percentage? And then, what do you do? Tell me that.
He said, just walking in, he just got his shirt off, just ripped, he's got the 8-pack or whatever it is. And he goes and he drinks the milk and he just just sprays it all over his face. He's rubbing his stomach. He goes, hey, Dad, I got 8% body fat. What do you got? And I'm like, money. So I said, I got money. I got a vehicle. Why don't you walk to the gym? Maybe you'll drop down to 7%. We'll see how that works.
That'll help you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That just popped into my head. But there was I think it's a great point that says sometimes you got to let the kids have the stage. That part of bringing humor into the house is letting your kids be on stage and bringing that environment where I think you just said it well, you're the straight guy, and you encourage them. Oh, tell me that story. What
Yes.
happened at school today? Oh, that's hilarious. Just
Yes.
giving them feedback, right?
What do you think? Give them the follow-up questions. Well, how did that make you feel? What did you're like interviewing them. You're just, you're going deeper. It's not like I'm waiting for you to be quiet so I can tell my story. It's, it's just, once again, it's that, like an improv, you're working together for, how shall I say, for an end. You have an end in mind, which is, it's a win-win. You're just working together to, and really that's what it's about. It's about that shared experience. It's about you're building that relationship, building that trust where, hey, they may be neglected or rejected in all parts of the world, but in our house, they've got a voice. And, and I'm not perfect. Look, Don, I've not given my kids 3 really good pieces of wisdom, but I think I have helped in creating an environment where they can shine, where they are appreciated, and where at least they can workshop ideas and thoughts, and because I don't know, proof's in the pudding. They're very bold kids,
right?
And they're very confident, and sure, there are lots of things where I could have done a whole lot better, and a lot of stuff where we all have that. But they are, I think they have a sense of context. They have a sense of how to treat people, and they're very teachable, and they're fun.
Well,
I love hanging out with them.
And Crazy Cool, and I think that at Crazy Cool Family, we talk a lot about creating a culture in your home, creating culture so the relationships can flourish. And I think that really happens when you allow humor into your home, when they can just be silly, and you talked about being authentic, when we come in and we're just silly and we are ourselves and we bring in our own humor and we let them have humor. It is a huge confidence builder. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, wouldn't you agree that letting your kid be themselves and letting them have that safe place where they can come in? I think you just said something like process that. You didn't say process. You said something else. Just be able to work through it and tell the story and be silly. That brings confidence into our kids.
Yeah, and it brings comfort. It's there, and there's. And one of the, and I'll just bring this up too, just another tool that you have is your phone, are the screens. I mean, we have a family thread, and it's kind of funny that the name of the thread will change, to whatever kid wants to change some crazy name. But like this morning, I'll see a TikTok video, and I'll forward it to everybody. It's just a great way to, and it doesn't take much. It's just, it's simple. It's just a simple connection. It's just another outlet that people can share something that they experienced that was funny, or they can, just great things happen.
Well, and just another example of, instead of being afraid of technology, how do we use technology to bring community into our home? Whether that be just a text stream. I mean, our girls are sending videos of our grandkids now all the time, of just things that they're doing and things that they're saying. And it just brings connection. It brings humor. It brings life into the home. And when that happens, then everybody gets lifted up.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right. When we get away from, having to be the center. I mean, you said some really cool things, and I just come back to some of those. Not having to be the center stage all the time, I think of just so often when we come in, we're so concerned about what needs to be done that we're not just letting our kids live, and play and have fun and laugh. And it just seems like we get caught up in our to-do list instead of caught up in just living life, right?
That's true. And it's also showing your kids you're not afraid. Like sometimes kids will want to say things just to see if that pushes one of your buttons, or they're all about testing boundaries. And I think that yeah, just not, I mean, because we've known some families that have really kind of shown us a model for that. They can talk about anything. And that is really great. Man, if you can have that kind of a situation where your kid comes with you something that's pretty raw, and you know, and I know, and we've seen families like that they're just so quick to wait. Let's that's about, don't go there, or
Right.
Because but I think if you can cultivate that experience where you're not afraid to press in and stay in an awkward place for a while, and just be there.
And would you say that as you've talked to, thinking about humor and in the family, that, we talk about telling stories from our past and how we relate to, oh, I went through some of that too. And really just, I would call it kind of we don't want to condemn the other people in our family, but
Right.
self-deprecating humor about oh man, today, like I was just telling you the story of, so McCade, my youngest, just got the Oculus, virtual reality thing. And they were just having the best time watching me try to do the virtual reality stuff because I'm so out of water. I mean, I was like, literally, I was trying to hide from the guy that was trying to kill me. And so I literally ran over, like fell over the bed because I was running away from the guy when I really just needed to stay there in my zone.
Yeah.
That was there. And so they were just having a ball. And I think so much of that humor comes from just participating with your kids and being willing to be, oh, dad's going to try this, or things like that, where you're willing to be just, and then letting them laugh at you, Now it's with my grandkids and it's like, just falling down and being silly or something just to make them laugh. And because laughter is just a remedy for the soul.
Well, it's like, remember when you used to see like a teacher at the grocery store and you thought that, like, what is she doing here?
Right.
It's like, well, this person's a human being. It's like, and that's what you're talking about is like,
right.
you're expressing it's a feeling of humanity. It's I'm a human being too. Yes, I'm your dad. And yes, I, have all these other things that I do and tell you what to do and tell you what not to do, whatever, but I'm a human being too. And, once, they latch on to that, what's really fun is like recently, I think Spencer's been taking some old VHS tapes and transferring to digital. So them seeing like me sing at my cousin's wedding,
right.
In 1996, they just love that.
Right.
So if there's any kind of old footage or stuff of you before you had kids, and it truly, it really, pictures are one thing, but video, where you're seeing yourself and they're seeing you.
They see you as a little kid or something.
Oh yeah. And it's always funny. And they're always make a comment about your mullet hair or your, your 90s sweater, or what car you were driving, or you playing a guitar solo in your basement, in any of that stuff it's hilarious because they're staying into a place where, and they don't know, they just, when they were raised in us being adults,
right?
We don't. So what I'm saying is it's just another way that they can relate. And it's been really funny. I love it when they forward that stuff and kind of get a glimpse of that.
It's a connection builder. When they see you as a real person, then, and we talk about it a lot at Crazy Cool Family about sharing your heart with Jesus and things like that, and your successes and your failures in life. But when they see you and they realize, oh, dad was in middle school too.
Yeah.
There's just, and dad was dad, was a silly looking, they see a picture of you in ninth grade in my black t-shirt and my hair parted down the middle, and they're like, oh, wow, dad, how did you ever get a date? How did you ever do that? Well, it's just part of connecting with them.
Oh yeah. And any kind of vulnerabilities, I think we shouldn't be scared of that. Like even if like you were a smoker, like there's a picture of you with a cigarette in your hand. It's like, look, I know maybe we don't want you smoking, but it's like, this is who I was. I mean, I have, like even like friends, their pre Jesus days were pretty cray, man. They were nuts.
Right.
And, but it's like, well, that's the room we don't go into. Go in, walk around. It's like, why were you drinking beer? Because it was fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I
because I didn't know Jesus at the time,
Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah.
This is what I thought life was. And this was my journey. And yeah, once again, I as far as with language, now that's a tough one. I think with sometimes certain saucy language will come into play. I was I think as a couple, you need to define what those boundaries are. My thing was like, I don't like you were talking about before, the where you're aggressive or you're bullying with your humor. If you're punching down, I don't like taking God's name in vain. I don't like that kind of stuff, because I don't face it. I mean, a lot of TV and a lot of stuff that the kids watch, that we watch, it's got language in it. And that, okay, I think, how shall I say? I think those are also opportunities. It's probably, I don't want to be in that a lot. I can go in there for a while and consume it. But I also, that's, once again, you can use those opportunities. Let's talk about that. Okay, the language, I get that. But I'm more about the attitudes. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's another, like a lot of times with, parents want to protect their kids. And I think that's good. But sometimes, they're going to see this stuff in the world. I think what you're talking about is just, hey, like you might, if the kids want to watch a show and we're questioning whether the show's there, maybe we watch the first episode with them and then have a conversation about it or whatever, which, I mean, so I think that, it's good to protect, but, as they are interacting with things, how do we do it with them and then laugh at it with them? It's so funny now as adults and as Christian adults, we think, oh, we can't laugh at this type of humor because, we don't want to promote it in front of our kids, but man, funny's funny, and we don't need to watch a comedian necessarily that's, cussing all the time or whatever. But I mean, some of the shows we have, I mean, humor's fun, funny's funny, and we can laugh with our kids.
Yeah. And you can help them too. You can get them like, oh, that was really that whole idea with that was really good. I'm one, the way he expressed it that way, that's kind of tired. And I thought that was a little bit hack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like, use it. It's like, I mean, with like Joe Rogan now, I mean, listen to Joe Rogan. I personally don't think he cusses well. I don't think he, I mean, I think that what's going on there is interesting. And I think he's trying to be authentic, and really that's one of his appeals, is like people trust what he says. At least they think, he's not lying to them.
Right.
But, that's another thing where like, I've said to my kids, I really like this conversation. What the guy says, and like the way he's putting it, it's like, that's just unnecessary. Just as that language tired, and it's just like, but
I think the cool deal is what I'm hearing from you is just engaging with them about it. And there are lines, there are things that, oh man, you probably shouldn't be watching that one. But I think sometimes we pull the line too far back, and then they're like, oh, what's out there? Instead of saying, and then we can kind of, if we have their trust, we can guide them towards things that are healthier for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all out there. And I mean, we can't really control it as much as we can manage it and interact with them about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even checking in too. I mean, with devices, there's just, I mean, how do you can put filters on till the cows come home, but there's still going to be, even in advertisements and, even little apps and stuff that pop up. It's just checking in on a normal basis, which that's kind of what, I mean, with my youngest Jackson, we were kind of talking before about how our youngest are now 16, and the youngest usually gets treated more like a grandchild.
Absolutely.
And so we're a little more loose. And I think that's funny that's true. Like, it's like, they're just so gentle and nice, but I think they're nice because they think we're fragile and that we're frail. And if they have any kind of reaction, then we're going to have a heart attack or one of our bones is going to break or something.
Yeah. We're not going to be able to make it up the stairs to get them. To save them.
They're thinking he has enough problems. I don't want to really, let's just be honest here.
Yeah.
This guy he falls down a lot. He forgets people's names, you know.
Oh, it was so funny. So I got to stop you there for a minute. So
yeah.
So I was at lunch with a friend of mine that we know, and so it was the day here we had a lot of ice, and so I get out of my car and walk up to this restaurant, and I slip and fall on the ice. I mean, like feet up, bam, hit me, fell on my hip type deal, and so I went into lunch and I talked with my buddy, and we parked right beside each other. And when he came out, he did the same thing. He fell in the same spot I did. And so I was telling Maddox, my 18-year-old son, about that. And he goes, Dad, why did you fall? Okay, Dad, I don't fall on the ice. I may slip on the ice, but you're old because old people fall. And I was like, oh my goodness, shut up, you young punk.
I like that question. Why? There's a purpose. Well, son, sit down. The reason I did that was,
Yeah. But I mean, we are old, but it's funny. Tim and I both have kids that are 16 and just started driving, our last kids. So literally days apart. I mean, Jackson's birthday is when?
Yeah. February 22nd.
Yeah. So McCade was February 8th. So just a couple weeks apart. And so we're both going through the same, our last kid driving. And, as we kind of land this plane, I want to go back, parents, and just kind of summarize a little bit. Do you see what Tim and I are talking about creating confident, world-changing kids that love life? It starts with creating the culture in your home, and part of that is just being real and being silly and allowing humor into your home. I mean, and Tim, you're kind of saying what I'm hearing is that's one of the greatest gifts you think you've given to your kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it opens a lot of doors. I mean, I cultivated mine just because I think out of shyness, and it was kind of a tool that I used throughout life to open those doors, And I would kind of lay back. I didn't push the issue. I kind of let the game come to me a little bit. Like when I joined a new group, it was like just waited for my moment, and then something would happen, like this is the time to step in and be funny or just do something, just to share my own kind of viewpoint or whatever. But cultivating that, there's so many benefits to it. It's healthy. I mean, to be honest, in this day and age, more than ever, it is something I think God put into us to process life. I mean, I think G.K. Chesterton said that the people that are filling up, mental hospitals are the ones that are too logical. That's just they try to make sense out of everything, which they will never do.
Yeah, that's good.
There always comes a point where you just don't know. And the fact is, you don't know either. And everybody else doesn't know. So why don't we go ahead and be okay with that?
Well, and to just kind of summarize, we're talking all this year about fighting for family, but you said, Tim, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes as a parent. I say the same thing. We're all ignorant. It's just on different subjects. We're trying our best as parents, but when you can create that safe environment, we find at Crazy Cool Family that the major theme is does a kid feel confident at home? Do they feel like they are loved? Do they feel like they have an environment they can be free in? And are their parents real? And that right there overcomes so many parenting mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the parent who gets everything right and is make sure that everything is done absolutely correct and their kid has all the best benefits and all those things. Many times those kids get lost because the connection's not there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Well, there you go. It's like you're there to be their fan. And I think too many parents want their kids to be their fan.
Yeah.
And to Uh, yeah. Boy, and I learned, we learned this a long time ago. We're just supposed to do things, just to do what we're supposed to do, and the results, that's something that's none of our business.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna end with this. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Tim. I've told your brother Todd. So I know
yeah.
Tim and Todd. We've known each other for many, many years, and so Tim and Todd are two brothers that both of them are amazing individuals. I mean, they have been, great baseball players in college, and super talented in business and in comedy and everything else. And so I know Tim and Todd's parents, Coach and Nelda. And so one time I asked Todd, I said, Todd, what does and his parents, Coach and Nelda, are two just normal people. I mean, both of them are school teachers. They're great people, but I mean, they're just, they're school teachers, and they're just salt of the earth people. And I asked Todd one time, I said, Todd, what did your parents do that was so amazing? Like, how did they make two amazing kids come out in you and your brother? And he said, man, my dad was just awed by us. He just thought we hung the moon. And he just was always super appreciative of us.
Yeah.
And he just, and when you, and I've never told you that, I don't think, but I've told this story many times in our parenting stuff, because I think it's an amazing, what would your comment be to that?
Yeah, I get chills when I think about that. And yeah, he was, I'm confident my parents have never said a negative thing behind my back. Never.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I just want to finish with that. We've been talking about humor, but really humor is a gateway. It's a gateway into this culture you create in your home, where your kids believe that you believe they can do anything. And I don't mean anything like accomplish the world, but that they can be all that God has for them. And just humor is a big part of it. And I just finished with that story because I think it's a super great example of what we're shooting for as parents. We're not shooting for achievement. We're not shooting for perfection. We're shooting for confidence in our kids. We're shooting for them to believe in themselves, and to believe that God loves them, and to believe that they can go be the world changer. And then that's going to happen. And I know your kids, Tim, and I know they do have that confidence. And I'm just super excited about having you on. And you're touring now. Any parting words? Any ways that they can connect with you?
Wow, there's a lot of ways. I think you can go to timhawkins.net. There's tour dates there. You can get tickets there. Once again, we're doing the Tim Hawkins podcast just on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can listen to that. We throw one out new every week. I do that with my wife Heather, and then my daughter Olivia and her husband Luke. So that's been a lot of fun. Just on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitter, all that. I actually, my kids make fun of me because I do this thing called Cameo now, cameo.com. And where the people will they'll pay for like a personalized video. You get yours free. See, that's the thing, Don. You get everything from me. You get free. So I hope you appreciate that. You're the only rewards member in the Tim Hawkins Club. So
hang on now, because
carte blanche.
My first free thing I ever got, it was Tim Hawkins did my 30th birthday party. You remember that? So it was a surprise birthday party.
Yep.
And the bit I remember is Chris Farley was my high school cross country coach.
Yes.
And he was living in a van down by the river, but he was going to help me, motivate me to run better in my cross country days. So funny. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. You were there, and man, I used to perform for food, man. So you were there at the beginning. And so it's a fun journey. And and once again, I would just tell your audience that Suzanne and Don have always just been just real and awesome. Their kids are amazing. Don, far from perfect. He's got issues. He's got dark rooms I want to go in. But Suzanne has, just
the better half.
And that's Heather. Speaking of family, Heather is just a Suzanne fan. She's always just been just so real and amazing, and was one of the how shall I say, I don't want to say matriarch, just such great support and information support that Heather got from Suzanne.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
Part of that, Don, too. And I just, we love you guys.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. And I want to finish too with, can they still get, like, if I want to input Tim Hawkins into the families that listen to us, can they still get your DVDs and stuff?
Oh,
online?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim
so-
Hawkins at products, just go to the products page and all that's still available. And
So many, if you want a great family time, just get one of the DVDs or go to YouTube and watch some of the clips that are there. Add yourself to the 14 million people that have watched. But I mean, we have sat around many times and just watched a show on DVD. Usually did get it free, I would say, but we did get the reward member discount. But such a great entertainment value for your family. It's just you will sit there at any age. I mean, that's one of the cool things about Tim is his comedy appeals to a 3-year-old and an 80-year-old. I've never seen anybody be able to do it like that, where he can relate to. He'll have 3-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and 40-year-olds all laughing all crying at the same time because they're laughing so hard. So. Go find a DVD and order. Any of them will be awesome. So, thanks for being on with us. Good to catch up with you.
You too. I love talking about this stuff. So you did. It's just great.
Good to talk to you. And we'll sign off now. So parents, go be crazy. Go be funny crazy. crazycoolfamily.com.